This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Okay, calling to order the meeting of the Ad Hoc Grant Committee for January 25th at 2:30. We have all of our team members present, as well as Mark and Ellen from the Greenway Committee. So don't see anybody waiting for open time for the public, so I think we'll just jump right in.
And Aaron said he couldn't make it. He apologized. So.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. I just want to be sure that he's always in the loop on things, so I copy him. I know with his schedule, it's probably hard to take time to join in. Oops, and I think I just lost Diana somehow. What happened? Oh, she's coming back in. Hold on. Come out here. One more coming back. Okay, we're back. We didn't lose her totally. Okay. Okay, so at this point, let's just jump right in. Kate, I don't know that you had a chance to do any minutes. I haven't seen the last meeting on YouTube yet. The one from the 29th is on YouTube, but not the very last one we had. So once I send this video over, I'll just nudge them to get everything posted on our YouTube.
Everything's like almost done, so.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, we'll jump into these because the recording exists, so I'm not overly worried about late minutes at this point. Okay, so we have before us the main item is our famous Mass Trails grant yet again for design, permitting, and engineering for 2023. So, let's say we've had a flurry of little activity over time, especially yesterday, which I will let Ed jump in on with the meeting with Ty and Bond. But Ed, I think I've got this correct now after our discussion. So I'm going to try and show this one document.
Yeah, hopefully that was helpful, Chris.
It was very much, yes. No, I misunderstood one piece of it. So I think I got it together now. And some of this will be news to everybody, but this is why we've had such a headache of trying to figure out what the hell's going on here. So I'll send this around right after the meeting here. I just finished tidying it up, but running down. So, we got the 50,000 in hand from the Kelly Pease and John Vilas, iteration toward the state. That was for acquisition. We had the earliest, this is a lot of order because we got that late, but we had the first Mass Trails grant that was done in 21, where we believed we did get $100,000, but that was due to expire right here. Okay. Just keep that in mind. Okay. And then we had our 270 from town meeting. And then we'll go back to this. So I had told you guys, I think way back in our last meeting or two, that when we received our 300,000 for design back here earlier last year, remember we had applied for the $200,000 one at their encouragement last May. My talking to Libby Knott, who's not the head person, she's the number 2, I guess, in line. She said that yes, our contract had been amended and it now read $400,000 and $100,000 was added to it. So that's all true. But she was of the belief that this $100,000 came from this grant. Okay. In reality, it didn't. It didn't. We got nothing for this grant, as Ed confirmed with meetings with Amanda Lewis from Mass Trails. Because this was going to expire, Mass Trails was going to transfer it to our design phase. So this was going to be the extra 100,000 like Libby had told me. But then, let me get Ian in here too. Hold on. Hi, Ian, if you can hear us, we're going to start on Greenway first. So I'm not sure if I let you in. Yep, he's coming. So we're working on Greenway first, Ian, if you want to do some other things and we'll get back to you. So anyway, this was supposed to be that extra 100,000. Well, in all sorts of discussions, Ed and Amanda, the question was whether we can use the current 300,000 remember that we got for design down here a year ago, wherever it went, right here. Hello, where'd it go? Right here. This 300. The question was, can we use this? It expires in June of this year. So the big question was, can we use it? Because tie and bond is really just getting ramped up and going. So can we use all of this by June? And that was the big dilemma back and forth, because I gather Mass Trails didn't really want to take the 100 back from us, but they were going to think about moving it toward the design phase instead. However, based on discussions with Ed yesterday and Tie and Bond has assured us that yes, they can use up $300,000 easily by June. In which case, this 100,000 is still available for acquisition. Okay, is that
So can I clarify so that we did not get the 2021 Mass Trails? We got nothing for that?
we gotten where for 200,000 one? This one?
Yeah, I think it's a 2021 Mass Trails, but we're originally 100,000 for acquisition. So we lost that money?
Remember that was the match from that small town grant?
Okay.
That's
that
what we
got,
were using. Yeah.
But how about the 100,000 Mass Trails, which was a 2021 Mass Trail?
This is it right here. That's what I'm saying is we almost lost it. Okay. They were going to take it away. And that's what Libby had told me. The extra 100,000 that we were seeing, she thought was from this grant application in May, the supplemental we did. In reality,
No,
Was
they combined the 100,000 acquisition and $300,000 design grants into a $400,000 grant.
right. So now there's got to be some paperwork to sort of sort that out. But yeah, so the 100,000 acquisition is still here. They're going to let us use it because Tie and Bond has said that yes, they can use up money, the design money, the 300,000. They can use that easily by June. So therefore, they're making this 100,000 still available in acquisition money. Is that sort of clear?
Great.
Okay. Am I right, Ed, so far? I think.
A little blurred, but I'm not going to say anything different.
Okay.
Can we use that acquisition money for the design and engineering phase?
No, it's for acquisition. That's why I've got these in red. So this is all red money. Acquisition. We needed 340 for sure to buy it, and we had built in our application here, we had said probably 370 because we didn't know what legal costs were going to be. So we have 50, we have 100, and we have the 270 we got from CPC after all the back and forth about the debt exclusion. So we've got all that money available for acquisition only. Although this one here could have been used for acquisition or design, the CPC money, but we need to use it for acquisition, okay? Because we lost that DHCD grant, right? Okay, so we've got that amount of money, and on the books with community preservation, they had this amount of money still available from eons ago. Before the old Greenway Committee, there had been money available then left for acquisition. So Ed has grabbed this money and used it toward acquisition as well. Okay.
So I apologize. Okay, 15,000.
Right here, 13,846.
Yep. Okay.
So that's been used. So basically, and we got our 300,000. We knew that we got that, and that's for design. The 200,000 supplemental we applied for a year ago, we didn't get anything. So that was a null and void effort. And then we've got the one we're working on right now. Okay. So what we have here in total for acquisition, if you look at all those costs, the 50 from Velis Peas, the 100,000 from Mass Trails, the 270 from CPC, and the 13,000 and change from the old CPC, we had that amount of money available for acquisition. Okay. We've actually spent this amount, 341,750, and there's more legal costs to come in here. We don't have all the legal costs yet. And that's okay, because we had figured 370 was kind of where we were aiming in terms of a total idea. But based on just subtracting these two, we have 92,000 kind of quote unquote in the bank, right, toward our next match. But knowing that, more legal has got to come out of that. So it's not just match, but it's also legal money is still to be coming out of here. So assume there's another 30,000 that we ought to save out of here for legal costs, probably just to match our 370 up here.
Mhm.
So at most we might have 60,000, maybe. But again, I don't know if we want to use all of that. So this comes down to, what do we want to ask for CPC? So we can come back to this, but this is kind of the nightmare that we've been trying to figure out with Mass Trails, what they're willing to do with us. And Ed, please add anything else, because that's about as good as I know.
No, you did a good job there.
So these numbers include the $100,000 of CPA money. That's the match for the 2022 Mass Trails. Is that correct?
What's that?
This is just acquisition money.
Okay.
Okay, so we have for design money, hang on. Oh, come on here. Gosh. Sorry, guys. Design money.
We got $300,000 for Mass Trails. We've
And
got whatever
Yep.
and I think it was 100,000 that we asked from CPC
Right.
for design for the match. So you've got that. And I just kind of round it off and say, and the $50,000 from the state from Velas and Pease. So we've got about $450,000 available to start this in phase one. And that's what the phase one design will show. Mass Trails has been very kind to us. They won't carry anything over, but Amanda reached out to me and said, if Ty and Bond could not spend the $300,000 in the Mass Trails grant funding by June 30th, they would actually let us use some of that, what could be extra funding towards the acquisition, which we don't need, because when I met with Ty and Bond yesterday, they said, yes, they can easily spend the $300,000 of the Mass Trails portion because actually the survey alone is $100,000. So that's 1/3 of it. So they can do that. And Mass Trails has kind of said to us that, at this point, if you can spend the $300,000, because their budget's predicated on actually they're spending everything, we're good with that. Even if you don't spend all of your match in this particular year, as long as you commit to finishing and spending the match to that $300,000 in the following fiscal year, they'll be good with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I think just to be cautious, Ed, I mean, let's assume that maybe we've got the 400 because the 50,000 from Kelly and John is already figured in this figure.
Yeah.
So that 50,000 is in this balance, but we know that we've got, maybe another 20 or 30,000, left for legal costs probably. So, I'd say we've got probably 60,000 left, but I wouldn't want to use all of that toward the match. So, but anyway, that's kind of where we are.
At our last meeting of the Greenway, Janet Brown reminded us, we can always say, up to X amount. And if we don't use it, it gets returned to
Encumbered
CPA.
funds, right? That makes sense.
Right. Yeah. So I'll send this one around because this had all the notes on it. And so then this grant, the 200,000 that we asked for that we didn't get, all this was going to be some matching from free cash, et cetera, et cetera. None of that is true because we didn't get the grant the way it was worded in the town meeting article. So anyway, I'll stop sharing that part. So that's kind of where that is. So that's what's taken us quite a bit of maneuvering. And thanks, Ed, for all the back and forth with Amanda and Ty and Bond on that, because that was really a pretty crazy thing. So
You're welcome. Glad to do it.
So Ed, can I ask a question?
You can always ask.
The Mass Trails 2023 grant is asking for another substantial block of funds. And the question is, can Ty and Bond use those funds in the following year? And did you have that discussion at all?
Yes.
And they thought it was a good amount?
Well, hang on a second.
We were talking somewhere around.
I'm just
300.
finishing my lunch, so.
Yeah.
Had the conversation. They're supposed to give me a firm figure tomorrow or Friday. So I asked them to give me a ballpark, and they ballparked it at probably about $300,000 that they can, because they're actually tied now to what the DOT timeline and the steps are. Okay. So they look at those steps, and they ballparked it at 300,000, which I would say means about 60,000. Maybe we asked for CPC for a match or whatever. Overall, and don't forget, this isn't just design costs going up, but that original figure of the $6 million on the tip, that's probably going to inflate to about $900,000 or $9 million or $10 million, just inflationary costs. So they are figuring from start to finish that overall the design will take about $1 million. And like I say, they don't want us asking for more money than they can actually hit those Mass DOT benchmarks at, because Mass Trails has been good and DOT has been good to us. They're hot on this project, and they don't want to get into a situation where, geez, we haven't spent $100,000 or $200,000 at an end of a fiscal year, and we can't carry it over and get them ticked off at us. So, like I say, they'll confirm an exact figure to ask for in the next 2 days, but they anticipate that to be around 300,000. And that'll leave us probably in like the following year or whatever, looking for probably $200,000 to $300,000 again from Mass Trails and a match from CPC to finish it up.
So the budget in the grant application is 320 from the state, 80 from CPC, and then 12,000 in kind. Is that too much?
I was actually suggesting more. Yeah, I was trying to suggest to get the 80-20%. I think my calculation I upped the in kind to like around 15.5 or something, allowing a little bit more hours for volunteers plus Ed and Randall's time. So it was around 15.5. And then, every time we've asked for it, it's only once that we've actually ever gotten the amount we've asked for. So I was of the mood to try and maybe ask for 375, hoping we'd get 3. So I was thinking 375 as the ask from Mass Trails, with 15 in-kind match and maybe 65,000 CPC, which gets us, around that 80,000 total, or 80 or 90,000 total match, which is our 20% versus 80% of Mass Trails. So that's where I was going, was around 375. I was thinking to go higher, because we haven't ever gotten, except once, the exact amount we've asked for.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I said, it doesn't hurt to aim high, and if we don't get it.
Yeah. But so, the math work, I don't think that's going to be a big deal. I think I'd rather keep trying to get the money from Mass Trails and do a little bit less for CPC if we can. But your thoughts there too. So, but let's kind of come back to that. That gives you what's going on there. And I don't have, I did a screen share there. So I don't know if you want to, Mark, do you have the new tie and bond thing I sent around?
Yeah, I don't, I'm actually, I can't show it on my computer.
Okay.
An iPad for this and computer. So sorry.
See if I can share it too. I don't know.
Don't have a microphone on my screen. So.
Anybody else have it handy? I sent it around to everybody on an email, or Ed did. Diana and Kate, I sent it to you guys too.
I do, but I've never shared anything. So you mean
this new
timeline,
spreadsheet,
the Greenway design,
right?
What?
So if you just open it and minimize it. And then on your bottom of your Zoom, you'll see a green share screen.
Wait a minute. I'm trying here.
Or I can do it too if I find it here. Let me see
Or
if
I
I
could
find it.
try.
Yeah.
Is it this big thing? Mass Department of Transportation?
That's it.
Yeah. What I just sent around today. Yep.
Not that I looked at it yet.
No, it's fine. This is the nightmare.
Now you want me to go.
Well, I don't know if, yeah, you probably have to save it on your desktop or something so you can minimize it.
Oh, okay, hang on. I'm not sure you want to wait for me here.
I don't know if you can.
Share it.
Okay, saved it.
Okay.
Now,
And now at the bottom of your Zoom, you've got a green share
Arrow?
screen. Yeah. So hit that first. Then go put your arrow over the document you just saved. And then somewhere at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll see share screen again. On the bottom right, maybe, or somewhere you'll see share screen again. You have to hit share screen twice.
yeah.
Anybody?
Hmm. No, sorry.
Yeah, let me
Okay.
see if I can give it a quick shot.
I can't even find where I saved it.
So I say put it on your desktop or somewhere.
Oh, here it is. Okay, I saved it. So now click on it and
There you go. Or somebody's sharing. Okay, somebody did it. Ed, okay,
That's mine.
we got it. Okay,
Yeah.
we got it, Diana. Find it. We got it.
okay, maybe
So
it was
now-
me.
The question is, we got to make it bigger. So Ed, can you make that bigger? It's only at 59 here. Yeah, it's a little hard to read, I must say. But
Yes.
so where we need to just look at this timeline here is, so let's keep in mind. So what we have right now, we've got the $300,000 from last year, right? That has to be spent by June of 23. So we're not talking about the new grant yet. We're talking about the old one that we have. So out of that, everything down here to, as far as conduct survey, this line here, which begins in February, ends in April, I believe that's the only amount of stuff that can be done during the current grant that we have,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
Okay, so then this pre 25% design actually begins in May, but it won't finish until September. So that
Correct.
may be
Next
a little
fiscal year.
yeah. And so this is part of what we will be talking about for the timeline for this current application. So that's where we need to find things that are going to be, in that time frame. So it's basically July 23 to June 24. So a lot of these things come in here very easily, down to, well, there's 2 or 3 things right in here that come in. Public hearings, 25% design is definitely done. Then a couple of things are out of that scope. They're later than June of 24 when they end. They begin, okay, in some cases, but they don't end by then. So just so that we're clear on that. And then down here, though, we do have bridge and geotechnical design that begin and end in 23. So it's kind of a little bit all over the place, but that's basically, the time frame that Ty and Bond has now given us. And so like this MIPA thing, for example, that ends in, I think it's May 24, if I'm reading that right. So that would be within the time frame of this current grant. Sorry, the grant we're applying for.
Right.
Okay, you see what I mean? So this is where we just want to, as we look at our timeline that we've got on that separate Excel sheet that goes along with the budget, we just want to be sure that we've worded that, because I think we threw in some 75 and 100% stuff, which isn't going to be really true, I think.
So you
Based
want
on
me to
this.
just take all these pieces and put it in, everything between the 2 lines and say 20, 23 and 2024 just to put in to the a redone timeline, right?
I think if we can, it may be a lot of detail. I don't know if we need that much detail, but
Probably not.
Okay.
you might be able
Probably
to
not.
summarize some of it, but I don't know.
If you trust my judgment, I'll do my best to represent that.
Yeah, so we basically need, I think, right, Ed, anything ending in by June 24.
Right,
And-
in between July 2023 and June 2024.
Right. So that's what
Yeah,
could,
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's true. So then as you scroll down, Ed, by the time they're done, so what they're talking about, so the 100% time frame gets us when now? On the left-hand side, we're down to,
basically this would end up and be ready to bid if everything goes correctly and smoothly in May of 2026.
so that's when we would have to go out for bid and have the access to the tip money, right?
Correct.
And I think we're on the 2027 TIP program right now.
Weren't we on the 25 tip program? I forget.
I get this one and the East Street mixed up, so I'm not going to comment.
So
Yeah, we
I just
have
have a question, just like a future fundamental question, and
Mhm.
apologize, like this is also for my learning. But if we're requiring funding for Mass Trails, which is 2024 and 2025, then it does matter if it's 2025 or 2027, right? Because we would have to wait for CPC funding for like the following town meeting, which could be like a couple months later. So like, do you think that we're going to need to request Mass Trail funding again after this year to?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what
Yeah.
I
Okay.
said.
Yeah,
Right,
we
so
will.
if we do
It'll be
that,
split into three different buckets.
Yeah.
so then if we do that, would it be better to request the CPC funding after the second year for that next match, so that way?
Well, we need it for this match, so.
I'm talking about requesting for now, and consider, like, if we need 3 buckets of Mass Trails money, saying we've already gotten the match funding, because then it will like kind of delay getting the additional supplemental funds that wouldn't that hold up the implementation?
So you're saying ask for 2 buckets of CPC money now? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying, well, whatever. I don't know how many buckets we have before
well,
the actual construction phases would begin, but I'm just.
Yeah. Well, we've got one, so forget the acquisition. That's out of the picture,
Right.
right? So now we've got one design bucket. This is our second design bucket we're working on, which will get us, somewhere in that 700 to 800,000, and we'll still need a third bucket, most likely. And so we would need another Mass Trails application this time next year, with CPC funding also.
Correct.
So Kate, is your question whether instead of just trying to match this current grant, you're saying, could we ask for more CPC money so we've got
Like
that
the next meeting, yeah,
ahead of time?
yeah, because we're going to need the funding inevitably anyways, and I just wonder.
I don't know. That's the question.
I would not do that.
I think
That ties their money up
Yeah.
that they could use for something else.
Yeah, it puts a dent in their recreation money for sure. And I don't know how big that pot is anymore. We could look at it, but it would not be the best strategy, maybe. I mean, that would give us, we'd still show in our grant application that we're only matching, whatever we're matching, and know that we've got another pot of money aside, but I don't know about that. It's a point to look at. I think I'm not overly favorable of it just because of tying up too much CPC money. But it's a question. But right now, I think we can stop sharing, because everybody, you can look at this more clearly later. But this just to say that we've got to go back in that timeline and just make sure that we haven't put too much stuff in there toward the 75 and the 100% activities that may not be done in that June 24 timeframe.
So just to be specific, so I will look at what we actually have in the grant wording and in the timeline, and
Yeah.
make sure it's consistent with what's between the July 2023 and June 2024.
Right. Yeah.
The other question I'm going to raise for the group as a whole, do we want to include this whole document as an addendum to the grant? One of the things we attach to the grant?
We could if there's room for it. I'd have to see if there's open spaces for it.
I think the limitation is a total number of megabytes. It's not
Right.
the number, but
Right, but in the grant application online, they only allow you one spot to add something at one point. So
Okay.
when you run out of spots, you have to forego adding
Okay.
something.
okay, 30
So
on that.
yeah. So you can stop sharing it, I think, on this for now. Thanks.
Okay.
Or Diana, whoever's sharing it. Thank
That's
you.
me. So,
Okay. Thanks. That's helpful. So this has been kind of the conundrum over the last week or two, just trying to figure out where are we, what can we spend, how much do we really need to ask for, and so forth. So that's kind of where we are. Okay. Now I have, and I don't know if I can try to share this. I had pulled up out of the Google Docs. Let me see if I can allow it to be shared here, which is kind of crazy. Oh, maybe it will. Oh, heaven forbid. No. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Let's see if it does. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I had gone in and everybody's kind of gone in and done a couple little editings I know here. I think I changed the naming at the bottom. Oh, why can't I see this here? Okay. Oh, first of all, up in the attachments, and Mark, this is your Google link here. So we have letters from the Westfield engineer. We have a letter from Senator Vilas, and we have the Norwalk Network folks, Craig De La Pena. We're still waiting on a letter from Kelly Pease. I talked to him 2 days ago, and he said he's going to get us one. So, I'm going to wait. I mean, my goal is to get this in on Friday. If I don't hear from him by Friday, I'm just going to forget it. He wanted to sign on with John Vilas, and I convinced him that it was better for us to have two separate letters rather than letting him just piggyback on John's. So that may have discouraged him. I don't know. He said he would do it, but he's been out of town, I guess, so he hadn't gotten to it yet. But all right. So this is the one that I've been working in, and Diana, I know you were in it, and Ellen and Mark, you guys have been in it. So I just put down here 124 so I can find it, because all these copies were getting me confused here for a minute. So I'm going to see if I can. Will it let me share that now? Good question. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
Can you see
Yes.
that? Yeah. Okay, good. I never know how to share in this crazy thing. So I think just a couple things, minor things, and we can probably do it offline. So this was just a possible rewording to complete the design process. So this is maybe a little too energetic given this time schedule now, so we might have to just soften the wording here a little bit.
Maybe continue.
Yeah. Maybe. So I think that would probably be a better thing if we can do that, and I'll just get out of here. To continue what?
A bunch dropped out.
Did it?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. Okay. All right. Back up. Never mind. What backed up? That was it, I think, right? No?
No.
Okay. Okay. I won't do this online here. Here we go. Here we go.
Go.
To complete the design project. Here it is. I'm sorry. I didn't go back far enough. Okay. We'll change this. Okay. I'll go back and do that offline when I'm not in the middle of doing it with Zoom. So that's fine. Continue. And then there's a couple more things, just minor ones too. So we'll, if we can just figure out whether we want to go instead of the 320, if you think 375 works, then, that plus whatever we're wanting to do for CPC, plus the 15,000, gets us a bigger amount here, but it comes out 80-20 is what we're trying to achieve there. So my thinking would be that, we don't need all of the 80,000 because we have some cash on hand, but we could ask for 60 easily from CPC or 65, whatever. And that would be fine.
And just keep this in the back of your minds.
Mhm.
Is I'm thinking, and I could be wrong on this, I'll know more in the next 2 days, but I'm thinking when Ty and Bond said $300,000, that's what they're anticipating in total to be able to actually spend and do in the next year, which would mean that would be the combination of both the Mass Trails grant and our local match.
Okay. So you're saying we don't need to ask for as much then?
That's what I'm saying.
Ugh.
Of course, then you throw that other caveat in is what do we ask for in case they reduce it too? So
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the challenge.
But just keep in mind those two parameters.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the original of 325 gives us $400,000. 375 gives us 375 plus 75 is 450 as the actually working amount that would be available to to Ty and Bond. So we're either talking about 450 or 400 total available to them on top of the 100,000 that's left over from the CPC funds, the part that the Ty and Bond's not going to use this year.
Right. So they've got the 100,000 from CPC already that they won't use
I
this
think
year.
the lower number may be quite adequate.
Yeah. So leave it like it is, maybe. Yeah. Okay.
Even if they decrease it to $200,000, it still gives us $380,000 to use for Ty and Bond to use in fiscal year 2023.
So we could leave this at the 320 if you want. Then this, if you think, I mean, I had just upped it to like 15,000 based on a few more hours and so forth on there.
I think increasing our what we contribute is fine, but in terms of what we actually ask from the state is the question.
Yep.
Whether it's 320 or 375.
Well, if you want to do 320 and then we've got, say 15 up here, but then I think we don't need 80 from CPC though.
Well, ultimately it's going to come from at least the old CPC, right?
We've already used it for acquisition.
But we just
used
voted
it.
100,000 match for the 2020 Mass Trails. Is some of that left over for 2023 or not?
The only well that was that other thing that I showed that we've got 92,000 left, of which we need to reserve 20 or 30 something, 25 at least for legal costs. So we've got some money in the bank already, so I don't think we need to ask for 80, but we can take it offline. We don't have to totally decide right here, but I think it could be a little bit less. We need to plug in the figures in the Excel spreadsheet and just make sure that we've got our 80-20 match. That's what we need to worry about.
So my original budget that I put together was
This.
the CPC gave the 20% match, and then the in-kind stuff was bringing up another 2% match. Do we want to do that, and which may put us at a little more favorable review status, or do we want to just leave the total of in-kind plus CPC equals the 20%? I think
Personally, I think that would be fine as long as we meet the 20%. That's the minimum. I mean, they've shown, that they're willing to work with us here. I think this is a project that they want to happen. So I don't think we're going to get penalized if we don't have another $2,000 or $3,000 in there. But personally,
I concur.
Yeah.
I probably concur.
Okay. So I think we just. Yeah.
I'll change the budget so that the in-kind makes up part of that 20%.
Yeah. I think I sent you a sample of what I was thinking, so you could tinker with that one. Okay. And actually, I think I put it in, it's in the Google Drive here actually too.
Yeah, the 124.
Yep. you could play
budget.
with it there. Yep.
Okay.
All right. So then a couple more things. You had said at one point in earlier comments about you wanted to see about a little bit more excitement about our having purchased the right of way. So this was a little thought I had here about, I can't see you guys, but let's see if I can just, so thanks to previous mass trails, why can't I do this? I got to see you guys differently here. Hold on. There we go. Go away. Thanks to previous mass trails and CPC funding and the support of its voters, the town has purchased a right-of-way from the PVRR. This represents a significant step forward in a project that has been underway for more than a decade. So I was thinking that that could be the beginning and then just say the copy of the deed is attached. Just if you wanted to beef it up, if you don't, that's fine.
That sounds great.
That was a thought to you guys.
And that's going in 2.13, is that right?
Right here, yeah. No, right here.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
212. So,
You just hit the check. I can do it if you can't.
well, I think I don't, I've got to put the language in here, I think, anyway, but I'll go
Okay,
back.
all
to
right.
it.
Yeah, I can do that while we're chatting.
Yeah, I'll do it offline because I know what I'm doing. If I screw it up here, I don't want to waste time on this. The thing, there was one place that, let me just scroll down. So then here, this was just I thought it was just duplicative. We already said 10 to 12 feet wide up here. So I think we can just say adjacent to the paved trail is fine. I don't think we have to say 10 to 12 feet twice in two sentences here.
Yep.
Then this is the section. Yep, go ahead.
That was actually in response to someone reading the grant. I think actually someone reading the grant and saying they weren't sure if the question was actually going to be part of the main thing or an additional adjacent piece. So that was, as long as you think it's not confusing by getting rid of that.
Well, or we can, maybe reword it if that was a question here.
I think it's fine to just say adjacent to the paved trail.
Yeah.
Okay.
An unpaved equestrian path adjacent to the paved trail is
Mhm.
fine.
Okay. All right. So we'll make that change. And then Mark, this is where you would have to just double check whatever we're doing with the Excel sheet timeline. Okay.
Yeah.
So this part is, there's 25% and then we've got 75 is completed. So this would not be true for this particular grant, right? So again, we've got to just.
I will review the two together. So.
Yeah, we'll just have to tinker with those things. And then I think the only one other big thing I had, Ellen, somewhere you had recommended getting rid of something.
Yeah, I put a part to delete in brackets.
But the whole thing came out bracketed. So I didn't know what you wanted me to delete. So
No,
I'm going to let you go back and figure that out because I don't know what you wanted me. I didn't touch it.
This is in 3.6. The last paragraph, she was recommending getting rid of part of the last sentence.
You scroll back up again. Let's see. The Greenway will also connect to Conan Park. We're omitting the planned ADA compliant
Conan
pathway near. It will connect to Conan
that was
Park.
okay.
And the central part of
and
town.
then, and then delete the town has approved CPA funding for the development of an ADA compliant walking path nearby Conan Park, which will further expand access to. Delete that part. So it's going to say
There must
Conan Park, the central part of town and municipal buildings. The Greenway will also connect to Conan Park.
Yep.
The central
I
part
see
of
what you've
town
done. Yeah.
And municipal buildings.
Okay. I'm going to make a copy just to be sure I don't lose it because I don't want to risk hitting something here that's going to, because all this is also bracketed and I didn't know why. Because you've got the brackets ending here, but then all this other weird bracketing showed up down below in 3.7. So I got scared and stopped right there.
I don't know what that is. I didn't bracket
either.
anything down there.
So I just stopped and said, I'm not going to touch it. So now that I understand, so all of that stays. That's fine. I understand what you're trying to tell me. That's fine. So I will go back and tinker with that right as we're done with the meeting here and be sure that I don't lose anything. Okay. So what I'll make a copy out into my own file so I can just double check and be sure I don't lose a thing here. All right. So I think that was basically it. That was my big question. And this, Kate had tried, I'd asked if there were some updated figures, and Kate had looked for me on any head counts of people using the Manhattan Trail or Westfield, and didn't come up with anything new and creative in terms of any recent counts. So that's fine.
I looked everywhere I could
Yeah,
find.
no, I'm sure you did. So this is
Didn't find
the way it
anything
is.
either.
That was an amazing effort, Caitlin. Thank you so much for doing
Yeah,
that.
so that's where it was. So I think that's all there is to do with. So basically, we just need to really focus in on that timeline, and then these couple of minor edits, and then we'll see if we get one more letter from Kelly Pease. If not, if I don't hear from him later today or tomorrow morning, I'll nudge him again and just see if he's going to do one or not, because I really want to spend Friday, focusing on it and getting it submitted. Okay, so we're in ahead of time. It's due on the 1st, I believe.
Yes.
Yep.
Do you think that it would help him to see a copy of another letter?
He has his letter from last year.
Okay.
He and Lindsay signed on to this, or Lindsay wrote it, I'm sure, but he signed it. I sent it to him. I said in my text, I said, you can even copy this one. Just say the first sentence is, we have acquired the right of way. But no, I think he just does things differently in terms of liking to jump in on other people's letters rather than initiate them himself. Maybe, I don't know, but I think he'll do it eventually if I nudge him again. But otherwise, I think we're pretty ready, and we can decide if you think it's worthwhile, if we've got space to add in the timeline for tie and bond. We could. Oh, I know what I don't have, and I don't know who's got a good copy, Ed maybe, or Mark, between you, whoever got it first, the actual deed, because what I'm seeing is just the cover page of the deed recording, but not the deed itself. What I was seeing on my version.
I can send you what we received.
Okay, that'd be great, because then I've got the whole thing that can be a clear attachment. But otherwise, I think I'm good. Okay.
So to be specific, I'll rework the budget and the timeline that they require, and the timeline language in the
text,
the grant.
Yep.
You'll make the other changes?
I'll make the other changes, and yeah, I'll let you know when I've done that, and we'll just compare notes and be sure that it's all there again. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those are, pretty minor ones. So.
Yep. Okay.
Great. All right. So thanks you two for joining in. Appreciate it much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We really
Thank you, and
appreciate
for
it.
the feedback on the meeting too. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think, like I say, I think we're right in the neighborhood here, but we're getting a little bit of, runaround, because if Ty and Bond had said that they would not be able to use the 300,000, then we were going to have to take that 100,000 of acquisition money, and do something different. So, yeah, it all has worked out in the long run, but it took a few discussions with Ty and Bond and Amanda and Ed together to pull it all together. So,
Oh, yeah.
hopefully
Thank you again.
we're on the right
Thank
track
you.
on that one. Good. All right. So
So we're
Mark and
gonna
Ellen,
sign out,
we'll
okay.
let you disappear and work on that, and we'll be in touch.
All right.
Thank
just
you. Have a great day.
just
so
go
much.
ahead and put the final ones back in the in your Google Docs. That's fine. But work it. I'd appreciate it if you'd work in the one that I marked the 124 on it.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Because I get
Thank you.
too many copies. I don't want to get confused.
Have a great
Did I pull
day.
out the wrong one? All right.
Okay.
Good. All right.
Thank you so
And-
much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And Ian, we're here. Hi. If Ian is there, you may be the only one there. Ian, can you hear us? You maybe gave up. So what we have is a possibility of here he is, great, of a school grant. And so I had asked Ian and Eliza if they wanted to join in, but I haven't heard from anybody else. So I don't know, Ian, if you had any word from the crew, if they wanted to think about this grant, or they're going to take care of it themselves. Do you have any idea?
I don't, Chris. No.
Okay.
Nobody reached out to me.
Okay, me either. So that's fine. They may be taking care of it themselves. It was a school related one, a different one. So that's fine. We'll we'll wait to hear, I guess, because we might need a separate meeting on that. And if we do, we can call a special meeting or something, because that deadline is in about 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty short turnaround too.
Yeah.
But that one's fine. Okay, well, maybe nothing then. Okay. And we haven't heard, I did nudge while you're on here, I did nudge that Miranda person from DOT about our speed assemblies request. But also more so I did on the infrastructure one. So the big one that we applied for with the shared use path and the driveway and et cetera. And she said that I just innocently asked if notifications had gone out yet. Hint, hint. And she said they were supposed to go out probably today. So Ed will be looking in his emails to see if he has anything from DOT, but maybe we'll find out about that one. But that was the one that was like $1.2 million, right? So
Right.
she's actually not in charge of the speed assembly ones, but she was involved in that other one, I think. So we should know on that one whether we were even in that, the initial triage or not. Which, it's a long shot, but maybe we'll be lucky. So good. Well, thanks, Ian, for that. And if we hear anything from the school, we may have to just have a separate meeting, or maybe they'll just decide to do it themselves with their staff. So that's fine too.
Sure. Yep.
Thank you much for hanging in there. Appreciate it.
All right, you got it. Okay.
All
Take
right.
care.
Thanks, Ian.
Ian.
Okay. All right. Then I don't know that we have anything else. We haven't heard on the stormwater grant yet. So that's the only other one outstanding, along with the couple of DOT ones. And there is a webinar coming up. I think it's on the 31st for the one-stop grant, which is one that we had talked about, and we'd put in an expression of interest on it like probably 2 years ago now, a year and a half ago. Didn't get very far with it, but we might want to think about that one again. So I'm going to try and join in. I'll send the link around if anybody else has time and wants to join in on it. So that's the only other one that I'm aware of that's got a webinar coming up that we might want to join in on. Okay. Anything for anybody offhand that you know of, that you're hearing about? Any other needs from other parts of town that maybe haven't made it to my desk yet? You guys may be plugged into the ground more than I am. So if you hear of anything, let me know. But
And the only
I don't know if
thing-
it's a need, but the landscape partnership grant is underway. They're working on that.
right. Yeah. No, and that's a separate thing with Kestra, right? So they're really taking the lead on that, which is great.
Yeah, they are. But
Yeah.
it would involve CPC money, I think. And yeah.
Okay.
And so, yeah, invitations went out, I think, to some meetings like in early February.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And that was
And
from
then
Open Space Committee, right? Organizing that. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I've
Yeah.
been looking into the Charger grants and feeling pretty daunted by all that. So
Okay.
we met with electrician Dan Whiteley at church, and I think we kind of figured it'd be better just to go without Eversource, just have the local electrician and all. But yeah,
Okay. To put in like one charging station or something?
we're
Is that
thinking about two.
two?
But yeah, I just don't quite know, because you have to file reports on usage, and you have to, have a credit card system set up. And so I really don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Okay.
What you need, Tom?
No, I'll talk to you another time.
Okay.
Good
That's
seeing you.
good.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. And Kate, anything from your end at all that you're aware of? or-
So I don't know if we really talked about it. So I went to that digital equity funding workshop and I circulated the notes from that. I don't remember, Chris, if you were on that webinar as well, but I don't think we really talked about it all too much. But it's for if it's from a state ARPA digital equity fund, and it was talking about trying to spread digital equity across the state, spread gaps, minimize gaps, improve social connectivity, workforce readiness, and civic participation. And I know we've been really looking into municipal fiber. I did share these notes with Dan and of course with Dave, but the question was whether or not this might be something we would be interested in. And I kind of felt like that would be more of a technology committee thing. But one thing I thought was interesting that might actually benefit Southampton is it's not just about infrastructure, it's also about improving technology or improving equity regarding access to technology, especially related to connecting seniors to the internet, people who can't afford computers, people who might need training with computers. But I know that the bid is, I'm sorry, I'm just scrolling through my notes. That the FCC is going to be releasing maps of like technology gaps, and I'm not really quite sure where Southampton's going to fall on those maps, or if there's gaps identified within Southampton that might be an area where they might be willing to look at a little bit more. But it sounds like they're taking bids for a particular vendor to come in and do assessments, and I'm not sure if that's something that we would be interested in doing.
You sent that around to me, did you? I will have to go look for it. I'm sorry.
This was like just in the middle of December.
Okay, I probably put it aside, quite honestly.
There's a lot going on.
I'll go back. Was there a deadline on it offhand?
I think it's rolling. So it says
Okay.
funds must be committed by 12/31/24 and expended by 12/31/26. But I'm not sure if there's like a timeline in which you need to like kind of opt into this assessment program.
I'll take a look at it, Kate, and then maybe we can bring it up at the next meeting and just see what it's all about. My feeling is whenever there's mapping and stuff involved, Southampton just doesn't fit into anybody's map, whether it's, environmental justice or anything else. We're just this weird entity that doesn't fit neatly into many, many categories. So that would be a question of, how competitive could we be? Are we really eligible to do this kind of thing? So
it's not a money thing. It's
the TA thing.
It's access to internet speed and communication. So like cell phone towers, internet speeds. If there's places in town that don't get good internet access or don't have Wi-Fi, but it's an FCC mapping project.
Huh. Okay. Well, I'll take a look at it. We'll see. I don't know that one.
There's pretty detailed notes.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Speaking of the technology committee, would that be a possibility for helping with charger grants? Do you think, or because it is highly technical from my point of view?
Yeah, and no, probably not. They're much more involved in telecoms kind of stuff. So they're much more, internet related. That's the expertise on the committee. We've got one guy who's focusing on the website. We've had other people that have now worked on getting all these voice over IPs into the town hall today with Ed, et cetera, Dave in particular. So probably none of them have got that kind of background. No.
Okay.
Offhand. Yeah.
All right. I just crossed my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, that's been pretty much, broadband internet related kinds of things. Anything to do with IT and improving communications, basically. So, okay. Well, if there's nothing else, I will take a motion to adjourn, but I guess we ought to maybe think about a next meeting. Today's the 25th. I don't, like I say, unless there's something else that comes up, I don't see a major need for a meeting for a while.
What about that school grant? What is the due date on that? I did see that. I'm
thinking it's around 3 weeks out. It was a school technology grant as well.
So could we go like a couple weeks after that, and if we need to squeeze in a meeting in the middle, like do like a week or two after that, and then if we have to do an emergency meeting, or I don't want to say emergency meeting, but an ASAP meeting to apply for that, then we could do one in between.
Sure. I mean, we can go back to, we've been meeting mostly on Thursdays, hadn't we? We could go back to that actually. Wednesdays are starting to get jammed up a little bit for some reason. 16th or the 23rd, I don't know. It's quite 16th would be 1, 2, 3 weeks out.
I'm fine with that.
Want to try that? February 16th.
I'll be out of town, but that's okay. I don't think it's
okay.
I'm not crucial.
All right. And when are you back, Diana? Probably.
I'm actually back on that day.
Oh, on that day.
But
Okay.
My dad's turning 95 and I'm going to have a party for him.
Great. That's wonderful. That is great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's let's try and touch base on the 16th and see if there's anything. And if it doesn't look like we've got anything for the agenda, I'll just cancel it. We'll shove it off to like the 23rd or something. How's that?
Mhm.
Unless we've got, unless we have any real agenda items, no need to meet. So let's try, again, the 2:30 timeframe on the 16th at the moment. Okay.
Sure.
All right. So with that, we'll have a motion to adjourn, please.
I move that we adjourn.
All right.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Let us call ourselves adjourned at 3:30.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.